The Florida Gators have landed another commit in their 2026 recruiting class. Marquez Daniel, you are a Florida Gator.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen or second listen of the day every single day. We are available daily and free wherever this is the podcast and on YouTube. And Florida Gators, another commit in their 2026 class. Another one. There we go. Marquez Daniel, wide receiver out of Tuskegee, Alabama, has committed to the Florida Gators over Auburn. And this is a battle that was pretty openly and exclusively Florida and Auburn. And we spoke about this, I want to say on maybe Wednesday. We spoke about how Marquez Daniel went to Auburn last week for his official visit, right? And him going on that visit and not committing to the in-state school there, that felt like, again, I was saying maybe not a sign that he's leaning Florida, but that felt like a good sign that he wasn't already leaning Auburn, because if you're already leaning Auburn, you go on the OV, you could just commit right there and cancel the Florida one. But him keeping the Florida one told me really two things also. One, that Florida still had a pretty realistic chance. And two, that he genuinely was taking his time with this. He wasn't like, yeah, let me just commit on the first one, skip the second one. It seems like this is one of those commitments, and when kids usually wait for all their visits, it seems like a good sign when a kid actually goes through all the visits and then commits. And for Marquez Daniel, he's done it. Got to campus yesterday, commits this morning. I see you in the chat. We'll get to you. You know how it goes. Love you all. But so Marquez Daniel committed to Florida, 6'5", 4-star on the On3 composite. He is a 4-star on On3. He is a 4-star on 24/7. He's a 4-star on ESPN and a 4-star on Rivals. He is the 127th player on 24/7. He is the 13th receiver and 10th player in the state of Alabama, which is 24/7 is the highest on him. On3 has him as the 192nd ranked player nationally, 28th wide receiver and 9th player in the state of Alabama. So there's a big gap there between how he's the 9th player in the state of Alabama on On3, but 10th and 24/7, but receiver, he's 15 spots. That's just a weird thing I noticed. ESPN has him ranked 216th nationally, 11th wide receiver, 12th player in the state of Alabama. Rivals has him 250th nationally, 33rd wide receiver, 14th player in the state of Alabama. And look, this is a huge addition, right? Landon Nation said, "What a get! More coming." Yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah. I don't know if it's coming today or what, but I'm telling you, this ain't the last time we're going live this weekend. That's what I'll tell you. Hell, might not be the second to last time we're going live this weekend. We'll see how things shake out. Marquez Daniel, 6'5", 187. Obviously, gonna need to put on some weight. Just looking at the numbers right there, gonna need to put on some weight there. But could be the X receiver of this class, right? And for Florida, that's, again, we talked about this as well. I forget if it was last week or earlier this week, but where we talked about how for Florida, they seem like they're more interested in getting the 6'4", 6'5" receivers now than they were 2 cycles ago, right? So I feel like that's a good sign there to start going with the trees, but also a good sign of this is the kind of ball that we want to play. I feel like getting a guy like Marquez Daniel, like Dallas Wilson last cycle, is let him run deep downfield, give yourself a jump ball area, have someone that can go over the middle, make the tough catches that you could throw out of reach of DBs, and just giving your quarterbacks more targets, bigger targets as well. Who was it that said that? Simon says, Whoop said, yeah, bigger target area. Yeah, you want someone with a larger catch radius so you could put the ball in different spots and actually be able to walk away with it. And so Marquez Daniel joining this 6'5", 187. Like that's a big kid. 6'5" is huge. And oftentimes we see these guys, maybe even grow a little bit more, which I will say probably don't want to see that. And for comparison purposes, Marquez Daniel, 6'5", 187, I think it was. Dallas Wilson, 6'2" 3/4, 193 pounds. So while being shorter, heavier. So that's just what I'm saying, where he needs to gain weight, and that's fine. That's going to be a thing that happens a lot with the strength and conditioning program as well. But to gain that weight and be able to play true X receiver and just fight through contact, fight through coverage, fight through all that is going to be big. But Marquez Daniel is now the highest ranked player in the Florida Gators recruiting class on 3, which, by the way, Florida also added a receiver last weekend in Justin Williams, who was the highest ranked player. So now Florida's back at a spot where their top 2 ranked players are receivers in this 2026 class. And there again, like I think that they might take 4 this cycle at receiver. They got a ton of defensive linemen that they've made progress with. It's going to be a good time. And look, this class is now on 3. This is now the 16th ranked class in the country, which, a short time ago, a month ago, 1 kid in the class. On 24/7, this is now the 44th ranked class in the country. There's obviously huge discrepancies there. Some of that comes with Caden Hall, who, if I'm not mistaken, is the 3rd highest ranked player on Florida's class on 3. But he is the 4th lowest on 24/7. Obviously, there's disagreements there in the rankings. And we're not caring too much about rankings this year, right? I think we collectively decided that, we're not gonna prioritize that this year. We're just gonna get good players and say screw the rankings. We are gonna get to the chat, talk with you, and we're gonna continue talking about the addition of Marquez Daniel and what else could be coming when we get back with Locked On Gators. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, or if you need free throws at the end of the game for SGA to hit your over. Just saying, if that's what you need, Friday night is a good night for you. Just want to say that. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If that bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators go ahead and get their first commit of the day. I think it's going to be their only commit of the day, if I'm going to be honest. But if you don't know these recruiting timelines, Byron Lewis, is that the Byron Lewis? I'm pretty sure that's the Byron Lewis in here. Florida Gators 2025 running back. Welcome, Byron. Appreciate you being here. Florida Gators adding a ton of talent with a ton of talent here during the live show. We've got Byron Lewis in the chat right now. But Florida adding Marquez Daniel, big weekend incoming, and I think that Byron would know that one. Not done this weekend, as he said. We're not done yet. I'm going to pull that up. We're not done yet. Byron Lewis saying it here, and I believe it's him because I have seen a lot of tweets about it. But the Florida Gators are not done yet, right? There is a genuine possibility that when we are talking about rankings, this is going to wind up being Billy Napier's highest ranked class with the University of Florida so far. So love it. And it's just win on the field and you're going to cook everybody. But working up to 16th is huge. They're not done yet. The defensive line class, I think, is going to be huge, both literally and figuratively. I think there's going to be multiple defensive linemen coming in that have elite physical traits and size. And Florida's just going to kill it on the trail right now. I think that they're going to add at least 1 defensive lineman this weekend. I think they can do a little bit more. But it's going to be big here for Florida. And looking at the chat, first off, we're talking about momentum there. But yeah, looking at the momentum, like this is a summer where it's just feeling all Florida right now. We've been talking about how June was going to be the big month this year. And that's just shaping up, right? I've been telling you guys. Someone says, why does the top say Carson Baker? It doesn't say Carson Baker on my screen. So if it does, please let me know. But for the Florida Gators, I mean, they're going to fill out this class. It's going to be elite. It's going already there. And yeah, I think for Florida, it's just keep adding talent here. You got defensive line class is going to be huge. Offensive line class is already off to a better start. June is going to be that June. You know, last year we talked about how the summer was really slow, and a month ago we was talking about how there's one commit in the 2026 class, and Florida has turned it around so quickly. This is the thing where I'll be honest, we spoke about this in November, December, where I was saying, you know, I don't know if Florida's going to have that same issue, or I thought Florida would have the same issue of last year where it was like, hey, well, we don't know about Billy's job security, so we're not going to commit. But they're either one, selling their asses off with these recruiting pitches and convincing people otherwise, or two, genuinely have that stability of, hey, he's our coach, he's going to be here, and we're going to sell people. And that end of the season, the 4-game win streak, help the momentum. There isn't a single university hotter right now than the University of Florida. With how football ended, then going into basketball, winning the national championship, and now Florida on the trail, there's not a single university that's on a hotter run right now than Florida. And Florida's using the momentum of the end of the season to go build this recruiting class of, look, we still won 8 games, which is crazy to think because it was a year where many people genuinely wanted Billy Napier fired, and that was an 8-win season still, which, of course, you know, most of the calls for getting fired were beginning of the season after the start. But like it's just insane that you talk to rivals and the rivals are like, oh, we'll see if Billy's going to make it through, if Billy's going to do this. Billy's kicking their ass on the trail right now. Billy's solidifying himself as the University of Florida Gators head coach there. And he's just kicking their ass on the trail, despite, you know, having a down year or not winning the state. He's going out there and winning it on the trail, and I do think this year they'll win it in the state. But Marquez Daniel, part of a big weekend. Carson Baker, yesterday, big addition. You know, been a big fan of Carson Baker, especially as I've been selling to you. Running back with Aiden Mizell speed, I'm cool with it. I'm very happy with that one. And then, yeah, I think Florida's going to get another commit potentially to the remainder of this weekend and continue to build this class. But with the addition of Marquez Daniel, that means that we've got our next scouting report episode, which is going to be Kekua Rhino Aumua, Carson Baker, and Marquez Daniel. As always, I am Brandon Olsen. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever listen to the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back again this weekend, I'll say. That's where I will throw it at you there. It'll get you there with Locked On Gators, and I'll see you all next time.